Hello guys, so welcome back to our show. So in the last two videos you guys would have understood about aperture and ISO. So today's video is about shutter speed and shutter and how it affects your image. So let's get into it. To understand what shutter speed is, first we need to understand what shutter is. Let's just look at our eyes. If you look at our eyes, when we open it, we are able to see everything. When we close it, we are not able to see anything. Shutter is also the same thing. So shutter is a physical element that's there in your camera in front of the sensor. So if the sensor is here, the shutter is over here, and it's basically two plates, or in some cameras it's three plates which close and open of sorts. As long as the shutter is closed, there is no light hitting the sensor and thus there is no image getting formed. And whenever the shutter is open, there is light going to the sensor and there is an image getting formed. So that is what shutter is. Now that we understand what shutter is, let's look at what shutter speed is. We all would have seen on our cameras where shutter speed is. Like it's the number that tells 1 by 25th of a second, 1 by 50, 1 by 100, 1 by 200. It goes up to numbers like 1 by 4000. At the same time, it would go to some numbers like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. In a normal DSLR or in a normal camera which we get right now outside in the market, we would have a shutter speed of that varies from like 30 seconds to something like 1 by 4000 of a second and things like that. So that is what shutter speed is. But what exactly does it mean? It means that shutter speed is that duration for how long the shutter stays open so that the light can hit the sensor. So the more the duration, there is more light hitting the sensor, and the less the duration, there is less light hitting the sensor. If the shutter speed is say 1 by 200, it goes open for 1 by 200th of a second and it closes. Whereas if it is like 3 seconds or 4 seconds, it stays open for 4 seconds and only then it closes. So one image is shot in that much duration. It takes 4 seconds to shoot one image if the shutter speed is 4 seconds. But if the shutter speed is 1 by 200th of a second, the amount of time taken to shoot one image would be 1 by 200th of a second. So that is what shutter speed is. Now, to understand how shutter speed works in video, we first need to understand how images in videos are captured. So usually there is a set frame rate. Frame rate is basically the number of photos that are taken in 1 second to make that video. So right now for YouTube, we are shooting this video at 25 frames per second, which means that in each second, there are 25 photos being captured by the camera. And there is a rule of thumb which is used by all of us. That is, if we want to shoot at a certain frame rate, the shutter speed should be 1 by 2 into that frame rate. So it should be 1 by 2 into 25, which is 1 by 50th of a second. So how did this formula, or why do people follow this? It's because of a lot of other things like shutter angle and the formula for shutter angle and all of those things. But let's not go into all of that right now because it's a little bit of a complicated stuff. So right now, just to understand it as basics, what we can understand is when we have 25 frames in 1 second, to get the motion blur in that image in a way that our eyes feel that it's a real image, we need to shoot it at 1 by 2 into that FPS. So right now I'm shooting this image at 1 by 50th of a second. This video is getting shot at 25 FPS and I'm shooting it at 1 by 50th of a second frame rate, so that motion blur is correct. Now I'm going to start to change the frame rate of sorts. I'm going to go into different frame rates. So guys, this video that you're seeing is shot at a shutter speed of 1 by 10th of a second. And now you can see that all the motion that is there is very blurry. This is because it is a slow shutter. And right now I'm shooting at a shutter speed of 1 by 500th of a second. So if you can see, those 25 frames are shot right now at 1 by 500th of a second shutter. And what happens is each of these images are very choppy, or they are very sharp. So now the question that we all would be having is, what is the ideal shutter speed to shoot at? So that is a very tricky question. It actually depends on the kind of effects that we are trying to create. If it is a slow motion shot, then the shutter has to be very fast, so that when there is that many frames, that image is that crisp. But at the same time, if we want a hallucinating effect, or when we have those kind of effects, we will need to shoot at a slower shutter speed, so that we get that effect, that breath of sorts in the frame. So it's all about what we want and the kind of mood that we want to create with our image that leads us to choosing what shutter speed we need. So now it's going to be an obvious doubt that everyone has, that is there a real shutter in my camera which is moving at this so-called shutter speed when I'm taking video? It's not there. It's not there in any of these cameras. In none of the digital video cameras is there a physical shutter that is going at 1/25th of a second or 1/50th of a second, closing and opening, exposing the sensor and closing the sensor. It's not there. It's done digitally. How it is done digitally is a little bit of a complicated subject, so that I will be explaining in another video. So this is what shutter speed is, and I hope you guys understood what shutter speed is. So now what I would want you guys to do is basically take your camera and shoot the same frame with different shutter speeds, so that you understand how it works and where you can use what effect. So guys, that's all about shutter speed and how shutter speed works. Hope it was useful for you, and please do comment any of the doubts that you have, any queries that you have. You can hit them up in the comment box below. So yeah guys, see you in the next one next week. Bye.